Okay, if you're looking to get property in St. Kitts, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all the details you need to know that would maybe take you 2 or 3 weeks if you're down here trying to figure all this stuff out. We'll put it in a nutshell. If you're thinking about whether you're thinking about getting a property or citizenship property in St. Kitts and Nevis, these are the things that you need to know. Also, you got to remember that one thing that's nice about St. Kitts and Antigua also, there's no income tax, no capital gains tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax. The other fast track programs in the Caribbean, you're going to have a local income tax, and some of them are higher than others. And I've got other videos on that. You can look at that and determine from there. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the video on me, but I'm going to, as we hit different places, I'm actually going to take a walk around Frigate Bay, and I'm going to be telling you some things that you didn't know that are big details, especially if you're going to be getting property in St. Kitts and you're going to be living here for a while. Let me just tell you one thing that you need to be aware of too. When you go in a lot of these places and you buy houses, some of these have been used by some of the students, and nothing against that, except that a lot of them, especially the vet school, almost all of them have pets. A lot of them, at least a big percentage of them do. And you're going to go in these places, and some are worse than others on how they keep the pets. So if they've been renting that house before you buy it, sometimes you can have some real mess as far as once they leave. Very difficult to get that smell out on some of them. I've been in some buildings that were so bad that literally I had to leave the house. I had one owner that he actually, it was real nice while he was living there, but when he started renting it out, man, went in that place one time, there were about 5 students in different places of the house. It smelled like a dump. It's awful. I had to leave the house. It was that bad. So you have to be careful. And now, a lot of people here will not rent to the students that have pets or anybody else that's got pets. And that's something you ought to look at. Another thing you ought to look at that a lot of people don't think about. If you go to a place that's been heavily bleached, it could have been a dung pile in there. I mean, it's, yeah, I'm real sensitive on stuff like that. But this is something that you really need to think about here. Now, I'm going to be going over to you some of the laws dealing with St. Kitts. Not a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur. We have lawyers we'll refer you to down here. We've been through a bunch of them. They're good ones, they're bad ones. We can give you some real good ones that we deal with here. But we're actually in the real estate business, and we deal with residents in over 100 different countries all over the world. So also, if you want to get your income taxes to zero, we'll show you how to do that. We're not accountants, but we give you general information, and we'll refer you to people depending on what the part of the world that you're looking for. We don't just deal with St. Kitts, but I do favor St. Kitts a lot because it has a lot of visa-free travel, has more visa-free travel than any of the fast-track programs in the Caribbean. Again, really, they got great tax laws here. That's what you got to look at. Also, if you want to learn more on this, go to our website and look up the flag theory. If you're looking to really change your life tax-wise, read and memorize that flag theory. You can go to www.citizenshipquickly.com and look at the top, which says flag theory. Go and read that stuff up, and you'll learn a lot from there. Okay, now let me go over some things that you need to know, and before you make choices. First of all, I think I mentioned to you before many times, just recently, that St. Kitts lowered their minimum price for citizenship on the donation, on the real estate option from $400,000 to $325,000 on the condominiums, and on the home program they reduced it from $800,000 to $600,000. Now, these are properties, you remember, that are title properties. Don't assume when you come into St. Kitts that you look at a property, it's $325,000, and they tell you it qualifies for citizenship. Even if they show you the paperwork, you need to take a look at make sure it is title property and not deed of conveyance. Now, just so you don't get confused, deed of conveyance is freehold property. No matter who tells you what? You better do your own homework in doing this. Don't just assume, because if you do this wrong, you can buy a property and find out it doesn't qualify for citizenship. Then you're going to have to repay and pay all these fees all over again, okay? So it's got to be title property. And I'm going to tell you some things else that you're going to have to look at. I'm getting up to the end of Frigate Bay. My advice, I've told people this for a long time, when you choose a property, select St. Kitts over NEVIS, and then when you're trying to narrow it down, go to Frigate Bay versus the other areas. Do not go to the northern part of the island. It's very remote, very difficult to resell. There's no major grocery stores up there. You will kick yourself in the butt by going up there. Stay away from the northern part of the island. It's the most remote area. There's not much up there. Pretty place. It's beautiful to drive up there, but there's not much up there. And most people are not going to go there, okay? So I'm telling you, when you resell, you're going to have an issue when you resell, okay? Now let me just show you something right here. I'm going to turn around backwards where you can kind of see this. This development here is Sunrise Hills Villa behind me. This is a Citizenship development. And if you'll notice here as I'm walking backwards, this is the last building. And this is actually the end of this is actually the end of Frigate Bay. And we're at the northern part of Frigate Bay here. This is the most, I like this area better because it's furthest from the bar zones. I'm going to actually walk down there. I'm going to show you every spec that you need to look at when you're looking at property up here, okay? The bar zones kick out late at night, and you won't hear it during the daytime, but if they've got bands and stuff there, it can wake you up, even if your windows are closed. So you need to be careful about, I would stick with North Frigate Bay. All right, now you can see right behind me here, that line that runs right next to that house all the way to the ocean, and then all the way back to the top of this hill right here, behind me, all the way to the very top of the mountain, behind this hill right here, all the way to the top. That's the line that separates Half Moon Bay and Frigate Bay, okay? Now, why you don't want to get in Half Moon Bay, okay? This is the area behind here. It's beautiful, nice place, but this is the problem. It will not qualify you for citizenship unless you buy a citizenship qualified development that's in Half Moon Bay. And there is 2 there now, but if you don't buy there, what's going to happen if you buy in here and you buy all these other the developments, those should be titled property, okay? They'd have to be, because you can resell those, so it has to be titled property on those. But I'm going to tell you, everything else I haven't run anything that's titled property there. Again, it's freehold, but you can't use it for, it's not titled property, but it is freehold property, but you can't use it for citizenship. Now, what does that do? I'm going to walk down here while I tell you this, okay? And the reason you don't want to get in a place that doesn't qualify for citizenship, even if it's beautiful property, okay? I had told you before there's a market. We did an analysis back in 2014, still holds today. It won't be exactly these figures, but I can tell you, I got with one of the top people with the registry. For every 50 properties that sold for citizenship, 1 sold for outside of citizenship. So that shows you what the market is in citizenship versus non-citizenship. So that's why you want to get a property that's going to be qualifying for citizenship when you resell it. It doesn't have to be in a citizenship zone, but it's going to have to be titled property where you can get it approved by the Board of Governors to sell it for citizenship. When you buy it, when you're buying it for someone else, that other person has to have it approved through the Board of Governors, and then you're going to have to too when you resell it, okay? And right now there's no cost to do that through the government. You might have to hire somebody to do it, but right now there's no cost to do that when you resell it, okay? But you need to know this, because if you don't know these facts, you're going to be going in places like Half Moon Bay, buying houses, and you might not even get it for citizenship. You might have just bought it, and then later you decide you bought it because you could resell it later for citizenship, and then you find out it didn't qualify. And I'm going to tell you something, man, that makes a huge difference when you resell it. Remember that ratio, 50-1? You need to be in that market, the 51 market. So it's got to be qualified for citizenship. Now, as time goes on, maybe the government will change things on that, but that's the way it is right now, okay? So you need to recognize that. Now, let me tell you something else. Let's say you're not getting for citizenship, but you're just wanting to buy a property in St. Kitts. Make sure you buy it in Frigate Bay, because Frigate Bay doesn't have the land agent holder license fee, which is 10%. Remember, this is 10% for the buyer. The seller pays a stamp duty of 10%. Now, if you're in Frigate Bay and you sell a property, you buy a property, you sell it, Frigate Bay is exempt from the land agent holder license fee of 10%. If you buy in Half Moon Bay and you're not a citizen of St. Kitts, and you're not a citizen of one of the Eastern Caribbean Union countries that's exempt, not from following the land holder license, but the land agent holder license, but they are exempt from paying the 10% fee. If you buy in that area, you're going to have to pay 10% if you're not a citizen. But even if you're a citizen, you're exempt from it. When you turn around and resell it, you're only able to sell it to other citizens to exempt them from the 10%. Otherwise, they're going to have to pay that 10%, which they're not going to want to pay, okay? Because they're going to pay that on top of the stamp duty. So what you've done is not only have you bought a property that's not going to qualify for citizenship, but then when non-citizens want to buy that property, they got to pay an extra 10%. There's so many people that do this, man. It's amazing. They just don't. I don't think the realtors sit down and really try to explain this stuff to people. Okay, you literally have to dig it out of them, and most people don't do enough digging. They come down here too quick, make decisions, and they just don't know what they're doing. And so that's a lot of money. I mean, on an $800,000 property, that's $80,000 US you're paying on top that you could have skipped. I mean, it's just by just knowing what you're doing. Okay, so these are some important things and facts that you need to be aware of when you come down here. Now, again, right now, to get citizenship in St. Kitts is $325,000 US is the minimum. Okay, anything that's that or above, and then for one person, the government fee is $25,000. There are other fees like conveyance fees. You've got fees that are basically insurance fees that covers to protect the title. And I've told you before, the way you figure that out is that fee is whatever you pay for the house for the insurance fees. You just take that figure you pay for the property and divide it by 500. What that does is it protects the title. Okay, and then you got conveyance fees, which are legal fees to switch the title from the seller to the buyer. And these are things you can't do yourself. I mean, you definitely have to have a lawyer to do this for you on the conveyance fees. Now, there are other fees, like you've got legal fees for the citizenship by investment, the application, and all this. And so you would need a lawyer for that. Typically, the conveyance fees, I forgot to give you the fee on that. That's 2%. Typically on the purchase price of the property. It averages right around that, give or take. There's a scale, but you can just say 2% to try to get that figure, right? And so these are the main figures that you're looking for. Now, you do have bank fees too on top of that, wire fees and due diligence fees, because there is a due diligence done on you real quickly when you wire funds in, okay? And what's going to happen too is if your name shows up in a registry, you got a name like Bill Brown, there's a lot of Bill Browns out there, okay? And they're going to do a background check on you. They don't do it with crypto right now if money's wired into a crypto company, but you're a crypto exchange, but you will have background checks, okay? You'll have approximately, you're going to have one with the bank if you wire money to the bank, and you're going to have another one. We actually do one ourselves, a brief one that our company does, and then you've got one that's also one with WorldCheck that the lawyers run. That's the service provider, and then the government's got a big one that they do on a worldwide check, and that's the one that takes so long to get done. So you're going to have a lot of checks when this is done. The only one you can initially bypass, but you're going to end up going through the ringer on these background checks anyway, is if you go through a crypto exchange on the initial fee, any fees that you pay on that, But anything that's dealing with the banks, they're going to require that. That's a law. I mean, they're going to check that. But like I said, you're going to have a lot of background check fees. I don't care if you're using crypto initially or not. It doesn't make any difference, okay? And if you've got any sort of background problems, you need to be thorough on explaining this, because if you do not, if you leave stuff out, you're going to end up paying a lot of fees, and if you get turned down, you will not get a refund back on that, okay? So you got to make sure, if you got any doubts about any sort of past histories, whether it be civil or criminal, you need to bring that stuff out. If you don't, you're going to have a real problem. Now, let me tell you why you want to pick Frigate Bay, okay? I spent a lot of time in NEVIS in St. Kitts when I came down initially, and what I noticed is immediately as soon as I went to NEVIS, everything costs more. There's 40,000 in St. Kitts, roughly around 10,000 NEVIS, and you can correlate, it's about 4 times more for everything. I mean, you're talking about doctors, dentists, plumbers, electricians, everything. And you need to look at this, because it will drive you nuts when you're dealing with contractors maybe that are not dependable, and you want a backup. You don't have to call this guy that's not shown up the last 2 times. You got to call him again, because you're getting out of names of people you know. And you want to have as much competition as you can have, or it will drive you nuts, okay? So also, golf course fees are a lot cheaper in St. Kitts than in NEVIS. The Marriott is a lot cheaper than the Four Seasons, okay, for playing golf, so if you're a golfer. If you like going out to bars, a lot of people go to the bars here in St. Kitts, so they come over from NEVIS. There's a lot more job opportunities. If you're a self-employed person, you're trying to find employees for your business, there's a lot more to choose from in St. Kitts. You got more people, okay? So these are some things that you need to look for. And a lot of people just don't look at this and think about it when they move. One thing that's nice about Frigate Bay that you will not get in the other areas of St. Kitts, you've got, you're close to Basseterre, which is the main hub for the whole Federation of St. Kitts and NEVIS. A lot of times people have to come over to St. Kitts from NEVIS just to go to some government offices they can't go to over in NEVIS, okay? CIU is one department right there, the other one's 2. But, and you're talking about a ferry ride. This is not like you get in the car and you drive across. Whether they'll get a bridge here one day, I don't know. But I can tell you, you're looking at, I think it's around $20 US each time round trip, going there and coming back. But you're looking at 45 minutes going, 45 minutes coming back. So you're looking at an hour and a half. It's a lot of wasted time, okay? So you need to think about this when you move to the Federation. And this other people think about too. So when you resell your property, most people that buy in St. Kitts. So you're going to be knocking down your market of people to sell to by picking NEVIS over St. Kitts. That's another thing. I've got other videos that just got tons of reasons. You need to go through and just look at those videos, because I just don't have time to go through all this in one video. One thing that's really nice about Frigate Bay is you got some of the nicest beaches, stores. Again, it's close to Basseterre where everything is. It's like 3 miles away. You don't even need a car here. This is one thing that I really like. Literally, I could almost myself go without having a car here. I only use it for certain things, but I do more exercise, and I find out if I do a lot of walking, I get a lot more exercise from it. But you really don't need it. And you got nice weather here all year round too. So this is something that you that you have here. Now also, Frigate Bay has medical doctors right here in Frigate Bay. So you don't even have to go to Basseterre, which is only 3 miles away. So you know, you've got so much to offer here. And I mean, look at the golf course behind me, the ocean. Isn't that incredible? Can you imagine seeing this 365 days a year? I don't know why everybody's not down here. Okay, and you're looking at no income tax, no capital gains tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax. And I have people that send me, I get so pissed off when I get this. Tom, you just promote St. Kitts all the time. No, I don't. I got over 100 countries we promote. It's just that St. Kitts has got every friggin' block checked, okay? It doesn't have any income tax, capital gains tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax. If you're a citizen, you get free health care in the hospital, almost free. It depends on your, I say almost everything is free in the hospital. If you're a citizen over 62 years old, dental care through the government clinics is, you don't pay anything, okay, if you're over 60 years old. Now, where else can you go in the world and have that? Tell me, send me a text or a place I've seen doing that. They've got a military here, but I don't even know the last time St. Kitts was in a war. If you're a libertarian, man, this is like dying and going to heaven. Now, is everything perfect? No, things are slow here. But I tell you, when you look down at all the benefits it has, you tell me another country that has that. Now, Antigua's real good too. Antigua's nice too. We do a lot of business over there. The only thing about Antigua that I don't like, it is higher. I've noticed the prices on things, but they also, the taxes are higher. They hit you with Social Security if you're self-employed. I'm talking about for a local company. If you have a local company in Antigua, they make you carry Social Security. Whether you want to do it or not, you have no choice. St. Kitts gives you that option as of right now. They don't make you pay in the system. So if you've got Social Security already from the U.S., why would you want to pay in Social Security somewhere else? And then you have to pay in for many quarters. And if you don't pay in for those many quarters, you don't get anything back anyway. And also the U.S. has a system where they deplete from your Social Security based on where you're getting somewhere else. So a lot of that money is just wasted out the window. Okay? And these are things that people don't look at. I'm trying to tell you all these things that you can look at tax-wise, and have a stickler on that. And so these are some things that you need to look at. Again, one thing you need to understand too is when you come to St. Kitts, I can't overemphasize this enough, stick with areas in Frigate Bay. If you really want to narrow this thing down, way down, stick with areas that are away from the bar zone, the bar strip, okay? That's down there at Timothy Beach. I go swimming down there all the time. Great place to go swimming. You like a place that's like a lake to go swimming? It's dynamite, okay? See all kinds of fish in there, barracudas, turtles, sea snakes, all kinds of stuff in there. But at nighttime, not every night of the week, but they have bands that come up there, okay? And they used to have a problem. It actually got to the courts because it was so loud. And that is a real problem. The worst thing you want is to get a place in paradise and then have all this friggin' noise coming from a band. And the worst time you want it is at 1 o'clock in the morning, okay? And the problem is, you come to St. Kitts, you can go out there, man, it's as quiet as a mouse out there during the daytime. But if you hit it the wrong time, that could knock you out. I mean, out of the bed, it's so loud sometimes. It just depends on what's going on out there. So you've got to make sure, and you could go out there at 2 o'clock in the morning one night and they might not have anything going on. So, but these are some things that I would strongly advise you to be looking at, because otherwise you're going to, in fact, I'm actually going to walk down there and show you some of the other areas here. I'm actually walking on North Frigate Bay now, going towards, I'm on the golf course of Marriott. And this is a great place. Beautiful scenery too up here. Up here on the hilltop, this is actually Half Moon Bay. Beautiful homes up there, but the problem with these homes, they won't qualify for citizenship the way the law is now. And if they resell it to non-citizens, those people have to pay a 10% land agent license on top of the 10% stamp duty. And some of these people, I don't think really knew it when they bought. Maybe well, you'd have to know because you have to file a land agent license application when you do it. It's so pretty, I guess people don't mind paying the extra 10%, I don't know. But these are all the pictures, a lot of these pictures you see in magazines and stuff are the pictures up on this hilltop here behind me, looking down. It looks even fabulous from the hilltop, and looking down at the golf course and the ocean here. Okay, and But it is pretty, but you have to look at the taxes and the disadvantages that you're going to get when you actually go there. Now, let me tell you another reason you want to look at getting citizenship if you come to St. Kitts. These are some other really important things. You'll find out, and I did other videos on this, if you're not a citizen of St. Kitts, it can be very difficult to work here, okay? In fact, there's certain businesses that if you're not a citizen, you absolutely will not be able to work in St. Kitts, okay? And you need to check that out, because if you're looking to move to St. Kitts for the tax advantages, and you come down here, you get on a lease on a rental, and you don't buy, okay? Because there are ways that you can get down here and not be a citizen and be a permanent resident without the right to work, although you can have a company outside of St. Kitts. That's no problem. If you go that route, that's basically getting a permanent residency without the right to work is buying a property around $350,000. It gives you permanent residency. That cannot be land only. It's got to be a house with land. Now you can pick anywhere you want on the whole federation on that, okay? And that will give you permanent residency without the right to work. And when they say without the right to work, that means that you can't come in and work for someone else because you're not a citizen. Doesn't mean you can't. If that person trying to hire you can prove that they can't find anybody else to fill that job, you being a non-citizen, they could hire you for that. We deal with mostly retired and self-employed people that are wealthy anyway. But if you got kids and they're trying to find a job, it's going to be pretty difficult if you come down here with a permanent residency without the right to work. That includes also your kids too, okay? So you get citizenship, you bypass all that. If you're a citizen and your kids are citizens too, and you get the fast track program that way, okay? So I'm giving you some ways that you can come down here and work. Another way you can work and be a permanent residency without the right to work is the house will give you permanent residency of $350,000, okay? Now if you want to work, you can actually, you can set up your own business if the government will allow that. I'm not going to guarantee you can get it passed because you're not a citizen, but it doesn't mean that you can't set it up. You'd have to apply, and the government would have to look at what that is. If it's a protected field, I can tell you, you will not get it approved, okay? The other thing you got to look at too, another option you can do, is you can set up a Samoa company. And the reason I like Samoa, it's the only offshore company now that you can get. There's absolutely no filing requirements from that particular country. Doesn't mean if you're a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, if you're from a place that taxes worldwide income based on residency and you live in that country long enough to qualify to pay taxes in that other country like Germany or whatever, you're going to have to detax yourself from that other place. I'm saying St. Kitts. I'm not saying from your other country. Okay, so if you're a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, you still have to file your taxes even if you qualify for the foreign overseas exclusion. And you can deduct up to, for 2025, it's going to be $130,000 for husband, $130,000 for wife. It's $260,000 totally income tax free of earned income, not investment income, okay? So there are ways you can convert the investment income to earned income. We've got other stuff on that. Or you can contact us, so we explain how that works. And we have accountants so we can refer you to on it. We don't do this, we refer you to accountants that do this type of work, okay? Now, also, if you get a foreign corporation set up, like a Samoa company, and that company pays your salary, that company is not required, because it's a foreign company, to pay FICA, so that's another roughly 15% that you can get by with there. But again, you've got to be outside the U.S. long enough to qualify for the foreign overseas exclusion, or you cannot take these tax benefits legally, okay? So that's something you have to look at. If you relinquish your U.S. citizenship, if you're a U.S. citizen or U.S. resident, if you got a green card, you give up that green card, there's no limits to what you can make and be tax-free, as long as you don't go back to that country and live in it was high taxes and you live there so much of the year. Remember, the U.S., even if you relinquish your U.S. citizenship, and you go back to the U.S., you've left the U.S., then you go back to the U.S. If you're there, I'm going to give you a rough figure because there's a formula on it, but if you're there roughly 120 days or more a year, even if you're no longer a U.S. citizen, you're no longer a U.S. resident, but you overstay your time in the U.S., that's called substantial presence test. The U.S. can tax you on your worldwide income even if you don't live there, okay, and even if you're not a citizen there anymore, okay? So you got to make sure that you're not a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, or you're there long enough to break the substantial presence test. You got to make sure all that applies. All right, now that's if you're a U.S. citizen or U.S. resident. If you're from Germany, Austria, one of these other high tax countries, you got to look at the tax laws you are in that place. You might have to pay an exit tax to get out of that tax situation, and then you're through with it, okay? Every country has its own parameters, and those laws change. Some of them change every 3 or 4 months. You know, so you have to look, the time that you're doing this, what are those tax laws in that area? We have tax advisors in over 100 different countries that we work through, depending on what you're trying to do, and we can help you out on that, okay? Now, these protected businesses, I'm going to tell you how strict St. Kitts is on this, just so you'll know. I actually applied when I was a citizen for in the real estate business, and they actually they didn't turn me down because that would be illegal unless there was a good reason to do it. And I filled out 3 applications. All 3 of them were conveniently lost. I've got a couple of videos I did on this, okay? And the reason I'm telling you this is how strict St. Kitts is. Actually, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but I had a meeting with him at the very top of the government. And his advisor, his top advisor, who was his right-hand man, basically, I talked to him first. He says, something's wrong. He says, they've got to have a reason, and you should have a reply back within a few weeks if they turn you down. They got to give you a reason why. I said, so tell me what's wrong, okay? So what happened was, make a long story short, I talked to the head guy, and I told him about his right-hand advisor. He told me he was wrong. His attorney general told me he was wrong. Now, can you believe this? And then the guy at the top says, you were not born in St. Kitts. I said, so you're telling me that I can't apply for real estate because I wasn't born in St. Kitts? I said, you know, that's not in the Citizenship Act at all. And he says, well, he says, there's some sort of rule somewhere. He said, let me check in, I'll get back with you. Guess what? He never called me back, never talked to me, never returned any more phone calls. I had to hire one of the best lawyers, I thought, very good lawyer. And he said that they were dead wrong. And we were 2 inches from filing a lawsuit against the government on that. And they issued the license real quick. But you can imagine with all the trouble, and I'll tell you something, this was over a 4.5 year period, okay, 4.5 year period. Now it wasn't really big because I was doing all this stuff on top, but it got to the point where I got really pissed off because I said, this is not right. And this is not the only time this happened. I had another guy, it was a friend, that they did the same thing to him, and it was a political thing with him because he was running for politics, and they turned him down I think just because they didn't like him. Then they, when he was getting ready to file a lawsuit, they issued the license, and this guy was born in St. Kitts. Now I don't think there's political crap like that going on now. I mean that borders on being corrupt when stuff like that's happening, because that's not going by the law. And when somebody makes you go through the courts or just about get in the courts before they can jump in, because most people won't take a suit. They'll just say it ain't worth it and just back down, which is what that person wanted to begin with. But tell me I wasn't born in St. Kitts, that has nothing to do with it. Economic citizens are treated the same as someone that's naturalized or born in St. Kitts. Okay, the only difference is people that are economic citizens can't run for. They can't run for public office, but they can vote. At one time, I was told by someone in the legal department they couldn't vote, but this was many years ago. But that's not true now. Okay. But you can't run for public office. That still stands still. That's the only difference. There is nothing else. So if you come in here and you're a citizen and you got a problem getting into a business and they're telling you that you were not born here, text me, man, and I'll tell you how to get around that. That's a bunch of BS. That should never happen. The reason I'm telling you this is that's how protective they are of the businesses here, okay? Now, there was no legal standing on that, but the point I'm trying to make is if you're not a citizen, there ain't no hope or prayer for you, okay? If you're trying to get that in that protected business, and they might just tell you no, and it's not a protected business, and that's the reason it's better to get citizenship. Now, how do you get around this? If you're having trouble, don't do it locally. Just get a house here, get permanent residency, okay? 2 ways you can do it, okay? You can move down here and not buy property, okay, if you want permanent residency. I'm assuming you're not a citizen, okay? You come to St. Kitts, you set up a business, that gives you the right to live here if you're working here because you got the business. If you can't get the business set up, buy the property for $350,000, get permanent residency without the right to work, or the other option is to get citizenship. You're better off getting citizenship, but that's up to you. You make the decision which way you want to go. If you want to get citizenship with the residency, you're going to have to live here for 14 years before you can apply for the passport, unless you do the fast track program, which you can get it in about 4 to 8 months. Okay, so you have to decide which way you want to go. If you set up the Samoa company, you get a house here, gives you the right to reside here, permanent residency without the right to work. By getting a house, you can do that, and then what you can do is if you still want to work, set up a Samoa company with your address, your business address outside of St. Kitts. Do not put the residency here in St. Kitts. If you're going to be living in St. Kitts at least part of the time, and you got a business outside, that address needs to show up on your website outside of St. Kitts, because otherwise they could. There are parameters that you might face here dealing with working in St. Kitts. So you got to make sure that that business address on your website is outside. You can live different places than where your business is, okay? All right, so you got to make sure on that, okay? So these are some things you got to look at. Now, why would you want to pick, get my hat down here. That sun's pretty bad. Why would you want to get a Samoa company? Well, several reasons. First of all, Samoa company doesn't have an income tax if your business is done outside of Samoa, so you don't have to worry about that. There's no filing requirements now. It's the only offshore company where you can have that, okay? And by having this Samoa company, you have more time to spend on your business, because you go and you get businesses like in Belize, man, you got filing requirements now, all kinds of crap, and you might even have to pay taxes on that offshore corporation depending on what type of business it is and what you're doing. So that's what and I'm going to tell you something about Samoa. This stuff changes, so what I'm telling you now, Samoa could be filing a year down the road or 6 months down the road, because the OECD is on their butt. They're trying to get them because they're getting a lot of business, because they're the only one that literally has there's nothing you have to train the register office, register agent, other than the fee each year, and that's it. You don't, even the seashells is caved in. You got to turn in all kinds of contracts that you have with people. There's no filing requirements, but there's all kinds of stuff you have to turn in the register agent. So I'm giving you all kinds of shortcuts in a nutshell in this meeting while I'm going down here to the bar zone. But you need to understand that there are options for you. If you're coming to St. Kitts and you don't want to get citizenship, you can still come here and work, and have the tax-free benefits. But again, you need to look, if you're a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, you can qualify for foreign overseas exclusion. After the exclusion, if you make income above that, you got to pay taxes, and you got to file anyway. Even with a foreign overseas exclusion, you still have to file whether you're not paying any taxes or not. If you don't file, you do not qualify for the exclusion if you get audited. So you got to make sure on that, okay? But again, you can come to St. Kitts. 3 big options. You can go unless you marry a national and you get citizenship. That's another quick way to do it. They do have ancestry options here. You can check into that. Other than that, there's 3 basic ways: citizenship, set up a business here, or you can get permanent residency without the right to work by getting a property that's $350,000. So those are some options that you've got there. Now, what you can do also, folks, if you can do us a big favor, we don't monetize this channel. So if you can give us a thumbs up if you like our video, it can help us out in the algorithm of our channel. And also, if you will hit the subscribe button, you'll get new videos as they come out automatically. And I would like to hear from you if you got a question or comment. Also get back with us on that. Now, let me just go through some stuff with you on structures when you set up a business here, okay? This is real important. There are 3 ways you can do it. You can set up a Samoa company or any offshore company that you want. I gave you Samoa because I like that you have the lack of filing requirements. Now, let me tell you something else too on the filing part. That's for Samoa. If you're a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, and you're or a resident from another country that's high tax, that taxes worldwide income like Canada, Australia, you got to check on the tax laws in that country, because if you got a Samoa company, Samoa doesn't require the filing, but those countries might require you to do. I can tell you for sure the St. Kitts, the U.S., they're going to require you to file taxes on that Samoa company unless you've broken the tax ties in the U.S. And you're going to have to break the tax ties by either relinquishing your U.S. citizenship or giving up the green card. Leaving the U.S. and qualifying for foreign overseas exclusion does not exclude that. You still have to file that corporation. If you don't do it, you can have all kinds of criminal issues. So you got to make sure that if you have that offshore company and you own it, then you can look at, we can refer you some accountants on that too, on how that's done. So it's real important that you do that. Now, let me tell you some things that you need to know. St. Kitts, listen to me now. St. Kitts has high taxes, okay? Real high taxes. They're just not income tax. They're not a capital gains tax. It's not a state tax. It's not an inheritance tax. So the taxes that wealthy people get hit on, they don't have that here, okay? Now, they do, I'm talking about a personal income tax, okay? I didn't say anything about the corporate income tax. I've seen guys on YouTube, one probably the most notable guy on YouTube, he's got more subscribers. He keeps putting in his YouTube videos, I don't know why somebody hasn't contacted him, but he keeps saying that St. Kitts doesn't have a corporate income tax, and he's wrong on that, okay? He didn't say offshore companies, he said they don't have a corporate income tax. By the way, too, NEVIS and St. Kitts do tax their offshore corporations if the one that controls the company is living in St. Kitts or NEVIS, okay? But he's dead wrong on that. All you got to do is do some checking. It's not that hard to find. But the corporate tax rate here used to be 35%. Now it's 33%. Folks, you don't want to set up a corporation if you come to St. Kitts, okay? What you do is you set up what's called an unincorporated business. That's if you're going to do a local company. I didn't say an offshore company. I said local company. I said local NEVIS or St. Kitts company. So what's called an unincorporated business tax is 4% of gross. You cannot deduct anything off that except there's an exclusion of 2,000 EC a month, which is 6,000 a quarter. And then after that deduction, everything kicks in at 4%. Now, if you want to avoid that, don't have a local company. Set up one outside the country, somewhere else if you want to do that. Remember, St. Kitts doesn't tax income on other foreign corporations. Now that might change in the future. I don't think you're going to see it, because that's where St. Kitts gets a lot of business. You know, a lot of people come to St. Kitts because they have those options. And one thing that's nice here too is, due to the fact, believe it or not, that corporate tax they have here is actually an advantage. Let me tell you why. They don't force you to have that corporate tax rate if you set up a business, unless you have certain type of businesses that they call, they're usually very statutory in nature. In other words, if you have your own mutual fund company, insurance marketing company, you have a publicly traded company, they're required to set up corporate structures, so you are trapped in that 33% bracket. There's no way you can get around it. That's why I say, don't get in those fields. If you got a mutual fund or a hedge fund you want to have set up, and you want to avoid all income taxes or corporate taxes, income on corporations, then you go to the Cayman Islands for that. But they're going to tax the hell out of you on through fees, corporate fees, and everything else. They have very high fees to work from there. You can live in St. Kitts, skip all those fees in the Cayman Islands, and skip the corporate tax fee by either having a corporation outside of St. Kitts or carrying a unincorporated business, which is only 4%. Okay, I'm giving you all these different options you can do. This can save you a lot of time on this. But again, that's a high fee, 33%, and it really doesn't affect petitions, because they give you an option. You don't have to go with a corporation unless you go in under those fields that I mentioned to you. Okay, so you know, this is that's the thing I like about St. Kitts. The government gives you all kinds of options. You make the choice. Okay, and so that's up to you on what you want to do there. And I'm giving you all the choices on this video, so this can save you a lot of time here. But you really need to concentrate on these things I'm telling you here, because these are things that you're gonna run into. And like I said, I don't know if any place has got the tax laws like they do in St. Kitts. It's a libertarian heaven here, is the way I look at it. It's and the great thing is too, St. Kitts is never in any of these battles that the U.S., the EU is involved with. You don't have all these wars and crap. St. Kitts is a lot like Singapore, Switzerland, Brazil. But when was the last time you saw those countries get in a damn battle? I mean, you never see these countries getting in battles and stuff. And that saves a lot on taxes. So, you know, you can, plus your kids are not, you don't have to worry about them getting into all kinds of wars and crap, you know, with their legs chopped off and everything, you know. Now, the property tax in St. Kitts is probably the lowest of any place I've seen. You're looking at 0.20% of whatever you're purchasing with a $29,600 US exclusion before that 0.20% kicks in. Folks, that's about 12 to 15 times less than the property tax you would pay in New Jersey. That just goes to show you how cheap. And this is after all these benefits I've told you. No income tax, no capital gains tax, no estate tax, no inheritance tax. And then they have this free health care if you're a citizen. I say free, it's almost free. For people over 62 years old for medical care in the hospital. If you're a citizen, again, dental care is covered. These are the government dental clinics. So how in the hell they do it? Well, a lot has to do with just efficiency, not having a military that's fighting somebody all the time. And that's one of the biggest expenses the U.S. has got. You know, one thing too that's kind of neat. I can spend an hour, no joke, an hour before I can get somebody on the Social Security number in the U.S. I can call here in St. Kitts and somebody picks the phone up within a few seconds. Now, there's something's wrong with that, okay? And I've been trying to get something solved with Social Security for 2 years now on a check that got lost, you know? And it's just amazing the difference. And it's just, that's the problem that you have with, with these And the difference when you have the government becomes so bloated that it's become so inefficient that you can't get anything done at all. And this is what's happened there. Now, also one thing that you need to understand too on the banking issues when you wire funds in, just so you'll know this. And I started this, but I didn't go through all of it. I want to make sure you understand this. When you wire funds into St. Kitts, if you're planning on doing business in St. Kitts, what they do is they do a background check, and if your name comes up, it's the same name as a criminal, they will actually deaden everything from applying that money until they get you to do a police check, okay? And you're going to have to prove you're not that person, so a police check is done locally. If you wire money in with crypto on the initial crypto payment, if it goes through a crypto exchange, you don't have that initially, but eventually you're going to have to do background checks, and there's about 3 of them. The 2 big ones are the world check and also the government check this time. But the bank does a check too, unless you use crypto, okay? So that's something you need to know there. But if your name comes up, it's the same name as a criminal, they're going to get that background check done. And they're going to have to confirm that you are not that person before they will apply the funds. If you turn out to be the criminal, they'll send the money back. Okay, they could freeze it. I mean, I don't know what would happen. Okay, I did have a guy that's name showed up the same name as a criminal one time. He was a Chinese guy. He lived in the same state as the criminal, had the same name, but it turned out he wasn't that person. But we did have to get a police report on him, and it backed the wire up about 3 weeks, okay? So this is something you need to know and be aware of when you wire funds in the first time. Once they check you out, then that's different, okay? Again, too, when you're getting properties, too, let me just go over something else here that's real important. If you're getting a property in St. Kitts, you need to know that when you buy outside of planned unit developments, you're going to have, and I've mentioned this before, people laugh about this a lot, but you won't laugh about it when you get up in the middle of the night and it's driving you nuts. But there's a real problem with barking dogs. And they don't look at things like the U.S. does. The U.S., if you complain to the police, they have what's called a disturbance. Most states have it, and the dog has to stop barking. Although some areas, it's still a nightmare, even in the U.S. in some states. So you have to understand that if you buy a house in just out in a regular area, and it's not a planned unit development that has real strict rules, like plus where I've got, that you can't even have dogs, which is good for me. I like dogs, but I don't like to be woken up all night long with barking dogs. If you pick that house and you buy it, you're stuck with it, man. And you better make sure there's no problem with dogs, because I've never seen a problem with dogs like I have here, okay? And it's a real problem. I've heard a lot of people complain with that. And one reason it's so bad here is you've got a veterinarian school. And there's nothing against the vet students, but the fact is it is an issue, because most of the vet students have their own dogs, or they get them when they come down here. And if you've got those things in the apartment complex, they can put them out on the deck and be just barking till the moon comes down. So if you're in planned unit developments, they have certain rules on that. And some people will not let dogs in their place for some, because of this problem with going to the bathroom and stuff and having that smell and not being able to get it out of the house. And so, so you might want to be looking and making sure you check on that, on this noise problem, because it can be a real issue. So these are some things that I would be definitely looking at. One place I'll tell you that can be pretty bad is Half Moon Bay Villas. I've been over there before, man. Dogs barking all over the place. And they do have a lot of students that have pets. So you need to know if that's something that bothers you. Some people have dogs and they're just used to their dogs barking all night long. Maybe it doesn't bother you, okay? If it does, this is something you need to be looking at. All right, one other thing here on the, and then I'll be just about through here, is on the bar zones. I'm in South Frigate Bay right now, okay? This is how long it took me to go from north to south. So you can see Frigate Bay is a small area. You can walk it in no time. But the bar zones are down here, and this is where you can really get hit. Now, right where I'm at now is right where the restaurants are in St. Kitts. I'm right near the Island Market. There's a little grocery store here, and near Ritual's Coffee. From here, you probably will not hear the bars when they light up from this point going forwards, okay? Excuse me, from this point here back to where I walked from. But going forwards from this point, as you're getting towards Timothy Beach, this is when you got to watch it, because you can be in a place where it can be really loud. So you need to be observing that. And some of the places here will not allow dogs in here. They're planned unit developments. And those are the ones that you need to pick. Folks, if you want to know more on this, go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and ask for some help. And if you can help us, we don't monetize this channel. It would help on the algorithm. If you like our video, give us a thumbs up on the video, and hit the subscribe button right on your screen right here, and you get new videos automatically as they come out. And again, I would like to hear from you. If you got any questions, just shoot us. We got a WhatsApp number on the top of the screen, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.